Right. Well, we're sitting here in the front of my 1947 Dodge, and it's a lovely car. I've owned it for about 12 years. I bought this on eBay, this car, and I kind of bought it blind because though I'd seen the car in a collection of cars I'd looked at a year or two previous to it being on eBay, I bought it blind, really. And I've counted it up. I think since eBay's been going and I've been buying cars off them, I've bought in the region of around 30 cars off eBay, and very few of them, however, have I ever seen before buying them because they were, farther away from where I lived, or so far that I really couldn't. It wasn't worthwhile, or it wasn't possible to see them. In fact, I bought a few direct from the United States. So I'm used to buying cars blind. I've never really had a big problem, but what I've done is I've bought them on the basis of what the description's been, and I've taken that description as being fairly accurate, and in most cases it was. Obviously, there's a room for some latitude there that people's opinion of what is a good condition is not necessarily what other people's are, but you take things for what they are in the end. But generally speaking, I've bought a decent car. Right, well, we're in the front of my Jag at the moment, this XK8, and I didn't buy this on the internet. This car I actually saw, and I bought it. But to be honest with you, the car was there. I looked at it. It's absolutely beautiful, in lovely condition, and I listened to the owner's words in how it was described. And in a way, it was not a lot different from buying it from eBay, because whilst I could touch the metal and touch the dash and everything, in a way, I had no idea what was going on really underneath the plastic and the metal. So I kind of, like any car, to a certain extent, you're buying a car blind, especially an old car that basically has no guarantees, and it's a private purchase, so you are where you are. But anyway, the biggest lesson now that I've learned in buying classic cars, and in fact it's nothing to do with the cars, because the truth is, I recently bought a classic car. I'm not even going to mention the name now of the car. I'm not going to mention anything. But some people who've seen my videos will know what I'm talking about. And this car that I bought on eBay was misrepresented by the seller. This particular seller not only misrepresented the condition of the car to me, he also did the same of the same car to other people who were acting on my behalf, and other people who I subsequently discovered were going to buy this car off him. So this car was misrepresented to me and to other people. And I bought the car, and my attitude with it was, in the end, when I realized that I had bought a car that was absolutely not what it was advertised, and therefore I'd paid a lot of money for a car that was not worth that amount of money. My attitude was that it was my fault. I bought the car. So I took the hit, I accepted the loss, and I subsequently sold the car on to an individual who bought it for what it was, and bought it at a very cheap price. In fact, the price is probably less than it was even worth, but I was happy for him to get this bargain. Right, well, now we're sitting in the front of my little Citroen Amy, and I bought this car physically. I mean, I didn't buy it on eBay. I saw it, but there again, I went along, I saw the car. It looked absolutely superb. There was no opportunity to drive it. The owner was there, and it was one of these situations where I had to decide there and then on the spot whether I wanted to pay, which was quite a high sum for the car, really. And I did. And it it turned out to be okay. Had some issues with it, but nothing that I would complain about. Good car. But anyway, going back to this other particular car that I bought off eBay that was misrepresented. So, in the end, I took the loss, and there was only really one thing left to me. I couldn't pursue this man for the sale, the purchase, because it was a waste of time. The man knew what he was doing. He'd sold me the car through a company, a shell company, which had no assets or nothing. And in the end, there was no way that I would actually ever be able to recover any loss on that I felt that I had a loss on for myself. So I wrote it off and to experience. But what I did do, I produced a video on YouTube, and I just laid out my experience of buying the car from this man. I actually didn't say anything bad about him. I just explained the truth, the circumstances, what was said by him, what I did, and what the car was like. And it wasn't my opinion what the car was like. It was actually the opinion of a specialist garage that did an appraisal that I paid for. I actually gave a copy of this appraisal to this man as well, though I paid for it. Now, I'm a bit lost for words here, because I think at this point, I can be criticized by people, and I'm sure I will be, for whatever I say or whatever I do. But I feel that I bought a car. It turned out to be basically that I got conned by this guy, because he lied to me about the condition of the car. But I took the loss. I admitted it, and I took it. And then I passed the car on to somebody else who actually got a good bargain on it. And then I produced a video which just laid out the facts, that's all. I didn't say bad things about the seller particularly at all. And what was the result of that? Well, that's the point of this. This is the lesson that I've learned. I received this from YouTube. And what this tells me is that my video relating to my experience of buying this car has been blocked because of defamation laws. I don't know what the laws are. They just say that there's defamation laws. They don't actually tell you what laws they're talking about. They don't tell you what you may or may not have done wrong. They don't even tell you what you're accused of. And you have no means to actually defend yourself whatsoever. You are just guilty, and it doesn't really say what you're guilty of. It just says you've contravened defamation laws. And who brought this accusation up? I'm assuming this because I don't know, but I'm assuming it's the person who I bought the car from, who probably saw the video and didn't like the fact that I'd made a video about my experience of dealing with him. So I end up, I've lost the money on the car. I have no way of recovering the money. And when I at least want to make my experience public, and I feel that I've got every justification to do that, and I was actually pointing out that I was also an idiot because I'd bought the car. It wasn't as if I'd put lots of blame on other people, because a lot of the blame is me for buying it. I'm blocked. So what's the lesson that I've learned? The lesson that I've learned is that having and owning classic cars are not only an issue as far as the problems involved with keeping these cars and keeping them running. There's an issue in the fact that having classic cars, like most things you do in this life, brings you into this ludicrous situation that we have arrived in 2017, 2018, whatever, of where our freedom of speech has been taken away from us, our right to complain publicly has been taken away from us, and that the people who, in many cases, commit, I would say, crimes really, or at least moral crimes, they have all the rights and the victim becomes the villain. So, as far as YouTube is concerned, I appear to be the villain because I've contravened this whatever, some law, which I don't even know what it is. But the person who misrepresented a very expensive car has every right for that to be kept quiet. Now, that's all I can say, because I'll be criticized, I'm certain, for even making this video. And maybe this video will end up being taken down, though I haven't even mentioned any names. I haven't even mentioned the name of the car. So, I'm going to try hard to just concentrate on the problems with the running and the owning of classic cars, and certainly not get involved with the purchasing of them, because that is a minefield. Well, finally, as a final word, I guess, a sort of a postscript. I'm sitting here in my Aventime, and I would just say that if anyone is in any way interested and doesn't know the history of this particular car, they can certainly contact me, and I would give them the details of the car involved and the person who sold it to me. And also, the video that was blocked by YouTube, I intend to post on other sites. Live Leak will be one of them. And I'm going to try and get it out. Maybe that's being a little bit nasty or vindictive by me, but I feel that I was very careful not to say bad things about this man, because I felt that wasn't right. Because he wasn't on the video, he couldn't defend himself. I was just giving the facts, really, of me buying it, which made me look a bit of an idiot, really, more than anything else, I guess. So I will make the video. I will get the video out there as much as I can, because I feel that I want to. And there again, people can have their opinion of that, or whatever they like. So I think that's the final word on this. Meanwhile, I'm in the middle of producing a video on my Mercedes over there, because my last video on it was that we'd cured some strange problems, and I took it for a drive, and what I didn't put on that video was another problem which I had an inkling during the drive was a problem with the car, and I've now found out that I have got another problem, and I'm going to make another video all about that problem. You see, owning these classic cars is such a bloody problem all round. I mean, I go from one, but this is what my channel is actually all about. And for people who criticize me on that one, you know, what I'm doing is producing videos that sort of log, if you like, or make a record of all the problems that I'm having just in trying to keep a small collection of classic cars or older cars running. That's all I'm doing. So there isn't any judgments really that needs to be made. But there's so many people are judgmental these days. It's like, it's great to be judgmental, but yeah, all right. That's all.